G'day once again. Thanks for tuning into Self-Made. I was just at a 3-day business retreat in Busselton, learned a lot of awesome stuff. Honestly, really mentally draining. It was 10-hour days back to back for those 3 days. And while I did learn a lot of stuff, I found myself on Saturday, like the day after it was all over, just sleeping the whole time. I was knackered, but a lot of great takeaways. And so I want to kind of break down a lot of the notes that I had taken from that event and do maybe one episode per thing, if you will. So this episode is going to be all about ADD. And no, not the ADD that we all think we have as business owners, but I'm talking about automate, delegate, and delete. This was a really eye-opening thing that Jacob Karras talked about. Jacob is a successful business owner from the Gold Coast. He's actually a good friend of mine, and he flew into WA for this. So he talked about this concept of automate, delegate, and delete, and it really made me realize that I have been doing this the whole time in my business without actually putting a name to it or realizing that there was a system and a process behind it. So I'm going to break down how the A.D.D method can work for you and your business and how it's relevant to cleaning. So let's start with the A, automate. Okay, automation is pretty easy on a micro level. Like, what menial tasks can you automate to buy back time? Things like data entry. So instead of typing in your customers' data into your accounting software, CRM, spreadsheets, what have you, an automation tool like Zapier can do it for you. So you can automate scheduling, email and SMS reminders, follow-ups, social media posts, and really any other time-intensive tasks that don't require a human touch. And so obviously I did this very early on. I use a lot of software in my business. That's kind of, I guess, what I'm known for. I use a lot of software. I'm big on automation. I'm big on streamlining things. And so from day one, I had that in mind, and I had this vision where I wanted to automate everything I possibly could. If it could be automated, it was. And so I always had that in mind from day one. But then we move into delegation. So this is when you start to build a team and have access to more resources. Or, it could be as simple as like utilizing a third party on a platform like Fiverr to make all your social content for you. Or even just like giving your washing to a laundromat to take care of for you. Like, these are just examples of how you can delegate tasks. It can really be anything that you do in your business besides the real money-making stuff like sales, marketing. You should be delegating. For a lot of people, you won't be able to justify the expense of delegation, but at a certain point, you will begin to start delegating things. It'll be tough for you to step back from certain things, but it's kind of just like a rite of passage that just comes with growth. And it is really hard to let go. I struggled with that for a long time, but the big turning point in my business was the day that I started to delegate, the day that I gave tasks to Stacey, the day that I got a VA. That was really the big turning point for me. So think about it. What tasks can you delegate now that detract from high value things that you could potentially be doing that directly fuel your bottom line? Okay, for me, the big things I delegated was client and staff rostering. The majority of my emails, I could not be bothered with that. I just wanted to make money and bring more money into the business. All client and employee communication by means of adding a middle layer of management. All of these things I delegated because I just wanted to focus on bringing more money into the business so that I could fuel even more delegation down the track and fuel more growth. And so, that really allowed me to focus more time and effort into what really moves the needle, like sales. At a certain point, I delegated sales as well when the time was right, and I fully removed myself from the business. And so when I was in that position, I took a step back and kind of looked at all the areas of the business where I could trim fat and streamline operations. And this is the delete phase. And side note, you can automate, delegate, and delete in any order. You could start by deleting things and then automate and then delegate. But I think this is just like the natural progression for most entrepreneurs. So anyway, I began by removing clients that weren't a good fit for my business, employees who were misaligned with our values and the direction we were headed. I deleted some unnecessary software we had that I felt added bloat to the business, because by that point, like, I had so many different softwares because I became just hell-bent on automating things and having technology for everything, because I thought that was my big USP. I thought my biggest selling point and my biggest point of difference was that I had like 50 different softwares to run my business. But like, it got to a point where I just said, this is too much. I can't even remember my logins to half of these things. So I got rid of a lot of softwares, and it actually brought my monthly expenses down by quite a bit, because software is not cheap. I'll tell you that. Even now I spend about, what do I spend? Like $3,000 or $4,000 a month on software. I think about $4,000 a month. So yeah, pretty crazy. And if you can cut that in half, that is a pretty big chunk of change that you get to keep in your back pocket. So I also removed services pretty early on and streamlined operations as much as I thought possible. So, like today we just offer one cleaning service. We do a 101 point interior cleaning service for our domestic clients. And for the commercial clients, we only offer daily, weekly, fortnightly cleaning. So we don't do window cleaning, oven cleaning, carpet cleaning, pressure cleaning. This is very intentional because I really want a simple business. Okay. Which is what I'm kind of leading into. Like what is the end result of all of this automation, delegation, and deletion? The answer is simplification, all right? Like by process of leveraging software to perform low value tasks and buy back time and delegating operations and removing bloat, we're left with a much simpler and more streamlined business. And I did all of this over the past few years without even realizing. And, so it's paid off for me. And so I really want to implore you to kind of do the same. Just start small, start with automating stuff and see how that can buy you back an extra half an hour to an hour a week. And that might not seem like a lot, but it is, okay? If you can buy back an hour of time that you can then spend on advertising, on making more money. And then when you make more money, you can start to buy into more resources so that you can step back and ADD a bit more. So really cool. In hindsight, I wish I had this framework before because it really would have put things into perspective for me and given me a clear-cut indicator of what things I really needed to focus on, because I never knew when I was in that phase, like what stage I was at. I didn't know if I needed to be doing automation, if I needed to be delegating more, or if I just needed to be deleting stuff. So now that I have that framework handy, it gives me something to relay back to. So yeah, that was a big takeaway for me from that event in Bustleton. Obviously, a lot more that I want to get through, and I'll be talking about it over the coming weeks. Lots of good stuff on AI marketing, team building and culture, which was the best stuff for me because I am hopeless when it comes to culture. That's my biggest issue in the business now. Well, I wouldn't say issue, but just the thing that I really want to hone in on and build my skill set around. So, but yeah, the ADD principle was really cool. It really reinforced just how simple this stuff can be. And this is how you get to a point where you've got a lifestyle business. You've got a passive income source. It all comes from automating, delegating, and deleting in no particular order. But the overarching idea here is that you're buying back time that you can spend on the things that matter and nothing else. That is the utopia of the business that we're in. We want to get to a point where we can delegate everything except what brings us more profit to that bottom line. And then at a certain point, you can even delegate that. So that's really all there is to growth. It's very simple when you package it into a 3-step framework like that. If you nail all 3 of those, if you do the right things, you'll build yourself a really, really great business. So yeah, thanks to Jacob Karras for your talk at that event. Very, very insightful and impactful. And like, that's the shit I love. I love simple shit. I don't want you to tell me a laundry list of things I need to do. Just tell me a 3-step framework, give me a simple strategy I can use, and I'm going to go implement that. I think that is the real important thing here, is that we need to make this as simple as possible for ourselves, because otherwise we never get anything done. Otherwise we just get distracted. We get shiny object syndrome and we get like paralysis by analysis because there's 100 different things that we have to go through and that we feel like we have to do. But the biggest learnings I have when I go to events like this, or when I even just read a book or listen to someone else's podcast, is there'll be a simple framework or a simple process or a simple system that I can repackage and replicate and use in my business. And this is one of those things. So yeah, start small. Just start automating. If you have a team already, start to delegate a bit more. Even if you just have one of your team members running some errands for you, that just buys you back time so you can grow the business, right? This is all we need to do. It's just a game. Who can buy back the most time and have the most streamlined business? And if you can do that, you'll pat yourself on the back for it, because it makes things a whole lot easier and it makes the business a lot more valuable, which means if you want to sell one day, you'll get a nice payday for it. So that is the ADD method. Hope this helped you in some way. Hope you found it as insightful as I did. And yeah, if you want to learn more stuff like this in depth and really work on your business with me and my community, Booked Out Cleaners is still available. You can still join it. I'm capping it at 99 members. So as soon as it gets to 99 members, it is going private indefinitely until a person from there leaves. But our churn rate is really low. So once we get to 99, I don't see it going down much after that, which is also a testament to how good the content is in there. So there you go. Humble self-brag. But yeah, keep being ADD, not in that way, but in the way we just talked about. Keep crushing it, and I'll speak to you again soon.